we have an Australian street fight to look forward to.
Punk's a good husband, but trash champion.
And Little Roman's on the warpath. Hello, welcome to Wrestle MSX. I'm Michael.
I'm Sally.
And after a look back at last week when Reigns helped the Usos, we open of course with the OTC. After asking for acknowledgement from the crowd and the crowd responding, we get Big Bronson Reed and his handler, Paul Heyman, appearing at the top of the rampway. Heyman asks the crowd to acknowledge the tribal thief and then tells Reigns he fears Reed. Heyman says Reigns had never taken a beating like he did from Reed, citing he had to be stretchered out. Reed then also brings up the fact that Reigns had to be stretchered away after Reed had beaten him up, whereas his father and uncle never did. Heyman then proposes a match for Saturday at Crown Jewel. Now I thought it was going to be a stretcher match, obviously, but it's not. It's an Australian street fight. Reigns accepts with Heyman and Reed then heading off. Roman tells them they walk in like tough guys but walk out like pitchers. This angers Reed, who then charges to the ring. The pair brawl mostly outside the ring, with Reed suffering 2 Superman punches before Backstage can truly separate the two superstars. So that's something to look forward to. And is it going to go to the street this time?
Probably not.
This is what we need. Back to the street, not just around the ring, streets.
Backstage we see Asuka making a match for Kairi Sane to take on IYO SKY. Sane doesn't want it, calling Sky family, with Asuka then speaking in Japanese and slapping her. Sane then relents.
First up, Becky Lynch against Maxxine Dupri. Mostly grapples, punches and kicks with a clothesline thrown in for good measure from Lynch. Maxxine fights back with a thirst press and cannonball from the apron to the outside when Lynch rolled out the ring, with Lynch then T-boned suplexing Dupri into the crowd barrier. Back from the break and we're in the ring exchanging yeah-boo punches, with Lynch winning out.
Dupri though rocks Lynch with a knees to the face and a fisherman's suplex, with an ankle lock then being locked in. Lynch escapes and rains down mounted punches in the corner, with Dupri then powerbombing Lynch and covering for 2. Dupri then goes high but comes down with a superplex. After exchanging covers, Dupri hits a German suplex followed by a roundhouse kick which floors Lynch. Dupri covers for, well, it was 3. But the ref stopped herself from hitting the mat as Lynch, best in the world, didn't kick out quickly enough.
Lynch then gets a 2 count, with Maxxine then rolling up Becky for another 2 after using the ropes for leverage. Becky then takes Dupri outside and beats her on the outside, occasionally getting back in the ring to break the count out. Lynch then goes back out and mounts the announcer's desk to showboat to the crowd, but as she does, Dupri gets back in the ring, with the referee then reaching a count of 10 and Lynch losing via count out. Now, what I don't understand is, now feel free to let me know, but they both go outside the ring. Lynch gets back in, breaks the count, goes back out. Dupri's not gone back in, beats up Dupri more, goes back in, Lynch does, breaks the count on 6 or 7, goes back out, then gets on the table, starts showboating. Dupri gets in. Lynch gets counted out, that's it, Dupri wins. Now, if whichever wrestler goes in breaks the count, why wasn't the count broken when Dupri got in and won?
Storyline.
Or, if it has to be the wrestler themselves that gets in to break their own count out, then why wasn't Dupri just counted out full stop, because she never went in until the very end?
Yeah.
So I cannot understand this count out rule. Either you break your own count, or you break everybody's count and then go out again. So I don't know what's going on, because Dupri got in, didn't break anybody's count, and if she was counted out, she'd have been counted out ages ago. So I don't understand this count out rule. Anyway, backstage we see the Roman Reigns, speaking with the Usos. Jimmy says at Crown Jewel they got him, but as he says that, Jey speaks over him saying, "I got you." Reigns then says he doesn't want any help, especially from Jey, as he should be concerned with his own path. Reigns then asks who's talking at the top of the hour, with Jey replying CM Punk. Reigns fires back, "Not you, huh?" which lights a fire under Jey, who then heads off. Reigns then says he hears and sees everything and asks Jimmy what's wrong with Jey taking advice from me. Not me, Roman Reigns.
We see Lyra Valkyria in Gorilla readying for her match when Bayley appears. Bayley asks if she could be ringside, with Lyra asking how she feels. "Excited," she replies, with Lyra throwing caution to the wind and letting Bayley come with her.
So, Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez, with Bayley in Lyra's corner and Raquel Rodriguez in Perez's. Lyra gets a 2 after a leg sweep, with Perez then working on Valkyria's left arm. Lyra tries a Nightwing, but Perez counters into a 2-count cover. Valkyria then goes up, but Rodriguez gets on the apron, distracting the ref, which for some reason stops Lyra from climbing the rope. Perez then gets up to Lyra, but Bayley heads over and grabs Lyra's arm, stopping Perez from hitting her move.
Lyra lands a moonsault into cover, but Perez kicks out. Rodriguez then attacks Bayley, with Lyra then drop-kicking Raquel through the ropes. Perez then joins them with a dive through the ropes and a tornado DDT to Valkyria. They then head back ringside, where Pop Rocks finish off Valkyria, with Perez getting the cover. After the match, Bayley grabs Lyra and marches her up the rampway, telling her to get them.
I think she's flipped there. Backstage, we see Jackie Redmond asking AJ Styles how he's preparing for his match against John Cena. Before he has time to answer, the Judgment Day roll up, with Balor saying he's heard that he and Dragon Lee want to take them on for their tag team titles. Styles says it's easy to threaten someone when it's 3-on-1, and then proposes a 6-man tag later. He just needs to find a third to join him and Dragon Lee.
After a break, we see Lee and Styles speaking with Penta when we hear a commotion. The camera then pans over to Bayley, Valkyria, Perez and Rodriguez beating the shit out of each other until Adam Pearce has Backstagers separate them.
CM Punk's out next, and after a sing-song about Texas, he mentions Crown Jewel beating Mr. and Mrs. Rollins, and then goes on to say he's pretty much coming for Seth for the title. This brings out LA Knight. Knight calls Punk a good husband, but a trash champion, adding that he was the last one to pin Seth, and they'll pin him again to become heavyweight champ. This then brings out Jey Uso.
Jey says he's next for the world title, with Knight saying the pair have had their time and it's now his time. Knight tells Jey not to be Roman and to stick at being a tag team, but after last week, maybe he shouldn't. This brings Jimmy out, with Knight then eating a super kick from Jey. Punk also says that they should focus on being a tag team because he loves Jey Uso and doesn't like little Roman. This angers Jey, who tries to attack Punk, with Jimmy playing peacemaker. Punk does manage to land a blow to Jey, but then turns around into a super kick from Jimmy.
We hear from IYO SKY next, and she blames Asuka for what's happened, saying her jealousy changed everything and that they're not family anymore. Wonder.
Up next, IYO SKY against Kairi Sane. Asuka with Sane. Sky dived straight out at Asuka before the bell even rang. Sane doesn't really want to fight her friend, but Asuka orders her to. So again, she relents. A springboard moonsault takes us to a break from Sky, with Sane delivering a flying forearm from the top rope and covering for 2.
After those awful-looking Shote uppercuts, Sky lands a missile dropkick from up high, but then misses a Meteora. A German suplex then nets Sky a 2 count, with Sane getting the same after a forearm. Sane then goes for the insane elbow, but Sky gets her feet up and then lands a Meteora. Sky looks to climb, but Asuka gets involved. While the pair brawl, Sane comes from behind and rolls up Sky, with Asuka getting an assist for the cover. The ref never sees a thing and counts to 3. After the match, Sky suffers an insane elbow.
We see a vignette from Seth and Cody before we head to the Vision's locker room. Becky is bemoaning to losing to Maxxine, with Seth just looking at his watch. Becky then heads off, with Seth saying he and Heyman should talk. Seth says he has to win on Saturday, and then says, what if he loses? Heyman says you won't lose, with Seth saying, but what happens if I do lose? Heyman says you lose the locker room, the faith of Bronson, and become nothing more than a secondary champion. Seth again asks what will happen if he loses, with Heyman replying that he'll have to question why he picked him over Roman.
It's going to be a tricky one to predict.
Mm.
We then see Jey moaning to Roman about being attacked by Punk when Jimmy comes in. Jey then accuses Jimmy of trying to protect Punk before heading off. Jimmy then says he sees what Roman's doing, messing with Jey's head. Roman replies that when he, Jey, won the championship, he became more like him, Roman, and less like you, Jimmy. He adds that if he wants to help his brother, he needs to stay out of his way. I do not like Roman.
Next up, 6-man tag, Dragon Lee, AJ Styles and Penta versus the Judgment Day's Finn Balor, JD McDonagh and Dominic Mysterio. The faces send the heels to the outside and then follow up by diving after them as we hit a break. We come back to Penta hitting his corner headstand stomp to JD as Styles then covers for 1. Lee then comes in and drop kicks JD before covering for 2.
Lee then launches himself off the top rope, but JD catches him with a drop kick and then brings in Dom. Dom Irish whips Lee and then lands 2 of the 3 amigos as Lee counters the third into a 2-count cover. JD then enters and covers for 2 after Team Heel put a beat down on Lee, with the commercials then kicking in again. We come back to Lee hitting a sit-down powerbomb, now called a Dragon Bomb, and then tagging in Penta.
Penta smashes everyone with kicks and double DDTs to Balor and JD, and then lines up for a Mexican Destroyer. JD reverses it with a standing Spanish Fly, which leaves both men down. Penta makes the tag, bringing in Styles, with JD bringing in Dom. Styles hits a spin-out powerbomb type move into cover for 2 as JD makes the save. Lee then takes out JD, Balor takes out Lee, and Penta takes out Balor.
Dom then sets up Styles for the 619, but then stops as he sees Rusev heading out. Dom grabs his titles, but Rusev grabs Dom. As Rusev is holding Dom, Penta aims to kick at him, but Dom ducks, with Penta kicking Rusev instead. Dom heads off through the crowd, with JD then suffering a Styles clash and getting covered for the 1, 2, 3. After the match, Styles says he and Cena will leave it all in the ring at Crown Jewel.
Backstage, we see Punk and Knight agree they don't want this match, with Knight asking Punk to not get pinned as they prepare to take on the Usos in the last match. We begin with a 4-man brawl, with Jey and Knight then duking it out before Knight tags out. Punk does a little damage to Jey before slap tagging Knight back in. Jey makes a break for it though and manages to tag Jimmy.
Jimmy and Knight exchange blows, but Jey then blindsides Knight when the ref's not looking, with Jimmy then tagging out. Jey throws Knight into the ring steps just as we break, and when we come back, Knight is still suffering at the hands of the Usos, with Jey delivering a hip attack. Jey then misses another, with LA landing a jumping neck breaker.
This buys Knight time to tag in Punk, with Jey tagging Jimmy. Some back elbows and a running knee down Jimmy, with Punk then climbing and landing an elbow. Punk goes for the GTS, but Jimmy escapes it. Super kicks Phil and then tags Jey, who enters the ring with an Uso splash. Jey covers, but Knight makes the save. Knight then BFTs Jimmy, with Jey then super kicking Knight.
Punk then takes advantage and rolls up Jey from behind, but only for 2, with Jey then spearing Punk and going up top. Knight then gets on the apron, which causes Jey to climb down and take him out. After doing so, Jey turns towards Punk, who then drops him with a GTS. Knight then, quick as a hiccup, tags Punk, gets in the ring and covers Jey for the 1, 2, 3. Raw then goes off the air with a rather smug-looking LA Knight. Yeah, this was just a pretty standard Raw for me. There's nothing exciting.
No.
I mean, I was even struggling for the 3 at the start. I'm struggling for Michael's moment of the night. I think we're sowing the seeds of Reigns pulling Jey's strings and
definitely.
Jimmy saying, hey, what you doing? And now we're building on the Knight and Punk angle, which is good because I want to see Punk back in. I don't want him just to have these Mr. and Mrs. matches. We don't need any more of that.
No.
I mean, is AJ Lee coming back or is it a one-shot, one-time deal?
I think she's meant to be.
I mean,
I'd have thought she'd have gone against Becky next as opposed to...
As opposed
Well, I suppose they won, so there's no need. But yes, as
she's got to come back, surely. I mean, just do something. Anyway, so struggled for this one, but Michael's moment of the night, as I say, this could be a match, a line, a look, a promo, something funny, interesting, quirky, different, just something that catches my eye. Obviously, it has to wait until the end, because if I do it halfway through and it's something that happens at the end, it's kind of a spoiler. So, Michael's moment of the night is Knight tagging himself back in to get the cover on Jey. I know it's not exciting. It was funny, just to be like, so Punk's leaning in the corner, Knight's on the outside, tags him, gets in, covers him. I thought Jey might have kicked out because it was a little bit too long, but he didn't. But it's the fact it's now building some tension between Punk and Knight, because I think we've had Knight and Jey.
Yeah.
And you can't keep running that one. You can, but you need to get Punk back involved, and this is a way of getting him back involved in the title frame. So that's it really. Here we go.
If you agree or disagree with that, or you've got your moment of night, let us know. Drop that in the comment section down below.
Thank you again for watching.
And we'll see you Wednesday for a look at this past week in WWE. Thursday for Crown Jewel predictions.
Tricky.
And then Saturday when we take a look at SmackDown.